Welcome back to Speaking of Meaning, everybody. I'm Ibrahim, and today I'm joined by Annam Chaudry. Annam has been named Oslo's Green Citizen of the Year. She's an expert in ESG, environmental, social, and governance, and she's also an expert in Arctic leadership. Her work bridges science, climate, justice, and human stories. She is a board veteran, a founder, and a powerful voice for authentic leadership. She's been nominated for many prestigious awards, and she works internationally for her green projects. Now, today she joins me to explore how we can use communication to bridge the gap between local action and global impact, and how we can lead with courage in a world of continuous change. Anam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim.
Now, I've read a lot about you, and you seem to be a young, fascinating woman. Can you tell me who is Annam and what is her mission?
I would just like to start with thanking you for the opportunity for what you're doing out there. That's very important work. However, I also want to add that, my work, it connects the dots that are missing in the community, and why it is important to address them is because of the necessity of the urgency of climate change. In my own words, I'm working with climate and environmental leadership, focusing on sustainability, but also like design thinking about how the community should be, can be, and would look better for people. So it's all about, trying to get sustainability in all the kind of value chain, of the society. So if this helps connecting my work to the description, that's how I will describe this.
Mm-hmm. And what is exactly your mission? What do you try to accomplish?
Well, the thing is just that, sometimes climate is very well misunderstood because it has been the language of only scientists. It has not been commonly understood and well understood. I mean, only in Norway we have 1/4 of Norwegian people that are climate deniers. So my mission is not only, to convince the climate deniers of that there is a necessity of change for the climate, but the importance of, why climate is so important generally, for people as well, because there are also people who does not understand climate change. So my mission is here to, make climate and sustainability well understood in the society, and how we can thrive together with all these changes that are happening.
Mm-hmm. And do you work closely with corporations as well?
Yes, I do work very closely with corporations because I try to, not only bring in the knowledge, but also bring in the value creation of how corporates can thrive, because it is very important to have this a whole value chain working together, because without it, we won't be able to see the changes in society. So corporations have a lot of not only the power, but they also have the solutions for working with people, with working with the society, and working with technology. So if you don't work with corporations, you won't be able to see the changes that we want to see.
Mm-hmm. Is that where the ESG comes in? And can you tell me about that?
Yes, I mean, the term environmental, social, and governance, it is almost, it's not almost, it is a circle, of how things work together. You have the environmental urgency and you have the environmental frameworks, but these frameworks are not necessarily only that, governance can work with. We need the people to work with that. We need the corporations to work with that. So it goes, like on a circle. And how we can do that is like, when we are talking about, for example, if you're a consumer, how can a consumer for instance, buy good products. Who has the responsibilities for buying the good products and where do you want to reach it? And without the governance support, the corporates cannot work because they also need a framework. They also need to report. And then, consumers, when they buy stuff, they would like to have a good product that one can last. Secondly, is a good quality, and they know that's fair produced. So this whole thing with the ESG is not only to one entity. It's for the whole circle to work together. So this is how this whole ESG is working, but it's also working in leadership and many in many in many sectors and fields as well.
And so, do you find it challenging or difficult to get leaders' attention, to get corporations' attention, to actually commit to the climate?
Honestly speaking, I have a various international background, and whenever I speak to, even if it's a university, from corporations to governance, I see the will is very much high. The challenge can be, when they don't have enough competent people that can work steadfast on these kind of missions. And also, there is sometimes, they have the frameworks, but they don't have enough regularities. But I have not seen that much of challenge, not seen that much of, like, no, we don't want to do this. It's more like, okay, this sounds amazing. This is perfect, but who will do the work? So this has maybe been the challenge, to bring the right people to do the right kind of things. And this is where, sustainable leadership gets its steadfast role, that it has to be very much defined, and the right people working with sustainable leadership. That has been the one thing that I have noticed that is important.
And so, do you think corporations need to commit and work on these tasks in order to be able to function in the future? Because this is the future as well.
For sure, Ibrahim, but not only corporations, but also governance needs one more step ahead of making sure that they are also on board in supporting these kind of corporations. Because when we look at the numbers from 1990 to 2025, even we can see that only 2.9% of Norwegian's economy is circular. And now we are thinking about, okay, but circularity is so important. And we tend to, think to ourselves that we are working so circular all the time. And meanwhile, we are also thinking, who has reached the 2.9% of Norwegians' economy? Who are they? Well, they are corporations. It's not governance who has, who has this kind of function in it, They are corporates themselves that has worked to get this number. So according to, economy gap report, we can see these kind of numbers, but we also see that it is the corporates that are doing this kind of work in Norway. So then it comes, more like, okay, if corporations are the one who are making sure that we are circular, what is the governance doing then? So this is why, ESG is so important, because also corporates have to show the will, and are they enough? Are they doing enough? Most probably, but is governance supporting them enough? That's another question.
And you also work internationally, right?
Yes.
Is Scandinavia leading this path, or are they behind?
Surprisingly, Ibrahim, I was always thinking that since I have this Arctic leadership, that I was like focusing on Nordics a lot. But if I actually lift the gaze and a little bit higher up and look to other countries, you can actually see that a lot of innovation is happening in Europe right now. France is, for instance, doing amazing. when it comes to even agriculture, to to circular economy, and they're also having a lot of idea, concepts, and supports that are leading to this kind of innovation. You know, they're working very much in future right now. And even if you go to Japan, because mostly my work is also connected to universities, and I can see not only in academia, you know, that we are seeing this kind of will to do something with green transition, but we are seeing it in overall governance, in the products, in their thinking of creating a more future design thinking solutions, that the change is happening rapidly. So it's actually a little bit, um shocking to see that we can do so much more. But what we are doing is that, we have so high numbers in our consumption right now that we are actually working against ourselves, against our values. And this is a little bit, shocking when you look at the numbers that we are on the top of consumptions and so less down on circular economy. And meanwhile, you look at other places, they're doing more, much more.
Can you give me an example of circular economy?
Yes, for sure. I mean, from a place we have to go away from linear thinking to more circularity, and a very recent example of is not only about only the production change of using the 4 R's, which are reuse, recycle, reduction, and like repair, but also we have to uh, see where this is happening a lot. We can also see in the third world countries, for instance, in Pakistan, that they don't have this kind of thinking. They know the value of repairing a product. They see the value of reusing a product to recycle, and even though they don't have the best waste system, and creating energy from waste. However, they have that in mind, that I can use this again. I can recycle, or I can repair this before I really declare a product for waste. So the whole thinking behind it is so important. So this is this is, I think, how you think about circular economy in very light version. I mean, I can go more technical, but this is a very light version of it, though.
We like the light version. Anam, I've read that you became the Green Citizen of the Year. Tell me about that.
Well, where to start? I've been working with the green transition steadfastly since 10 years now of experience. And I've always believed in that, that the change, it might sound a little bit cliche, but let me just say that, the change starts with you. However, coming from a very technical, scientific background, I was more like, into numbers, modeling, etc. However, I saw that it has a meaningful impact for me as a scientist, and I know where it can lead me. But where can I get the help of people? How can I create the meaning behind what I'm modeling right now? So what happened was like, I was working so much with green campaigns because I have a very varied background from project management, leading national campaigns. And I was seeing that, okay, somehow it's working. But I want to, make it more effective, make the impact more, uh, more, like for a longer duration. Maybe this should be something in our habits. Maybe there should be, something in long-term thinking. So what happened, Ibrahim, I will tell you, this is very personal, but most of the people who knows me, they know that I've been in the floods in Pakistan in 2022. While I was there, I was witnessing so much brutality, and it was almost like, this is not justice. There's a population over here who has not committed any ecocide or eco crime, but they're the one who's bearing the effects of climate change on that level, where it's just, where you just want to scream that what is happening, how much injustice is there out there. So this is where, I became the voice of climate justice. And I said that this is what we should do, because if we have our consumption in Norway that is leading to more and more climate injustice all over the world, then we have a responsibility. So I went from this scientifically background to more into communication, more into, getting people to make them understand about something that is so uh, sometimes very hard to understand, but making it more like to people. How can this give you the ownership of climate? How can this give you the authority of owning your own future? So I went from something, like from distance, even if we are addressing things that are, happening so far away, but to more collective, to yourself. So this is, like giving them the ownership of their own future was the reason of winning that prize. And I've been working a lot, with my own campaigns and with community campaigns. And as well as I had one thing, there's something called EU's Green Deal, right? But I was working with one concept called My Green Deal. And My Green Deal was a very low scale project, just a QR code, which people just, scanned and told, like it could be anyone, like so with someone from even, fifth grade or sixth grader, who can just scan a QR code and easily. What does um, uh, green nature, what does, green transition, what does sustainability means to you and your community? Suddenly I was seeing a lot of replies, a lot of people being so active in this low scale project. And it was giving so much feedback and data. And then it tells us, when we read and people say that, no, people don't care about green transition, people don't care about nature, sustainability. I didn't believe that because I had numbers. And I could literally show, from what kind of age and where in Oslo actually people want to see more of these green initiatives. So this is what, one thing led to another, and suddenly it became a very big thing. And this was the main background for, winning the prize. However, I've also done a lot of advocacy, given girls a lot of room, working with green projects, small projects. But it was just like maybe working around the clock just to, give something back because I knew I could.
Your background is so fascinating. I sense that this has shaped your voice from early age. Did you know what you wanted to do when you were young, or is it something that developed as you grew up?
Actually, it's it's yes and a no there. I knew that I was always going to work with people, for people, and I just didn't know, what it could be. For a very long term, my dream was always like, I want to work in an international humanitarian organization. But then, I started, with business studies and going very harder into, corporate studies, etc., which is not wrong at all. I never see that as a wrong choice. But, somehow I was not shaping myself in that direction where I really, really, really wanted to go into. So, yes, I knew what I wanted to do because I could see that, and I could feel that, yes, this is good to know, but it needs more meaning. So purpose, it has to be very purpose driven. I couldn't, like, for instance, go into only a banking position, for instance, and doing only accounts. But if that are accounts and audits, maybe it could be for microloans, uh, for Bangladesh or something, like trying to build a community, then I'm all in. So yes and no, like I was in the right field, but I was just trying to find the right purpose.
And you did eventually find your field. And so what I'm curious here is you engage with leaders, you are a leader yourself, and my experience is that a lot of leaders try to find solutions and then perhaps neglect the obvious and the important communication. And so, what do you think happens when we only focus on solutions, but we don't think about how we communicate the ideas that we have, especially if it's pretty complex ideas?
This happens to, I think, all of us. Somewhere in even projects, when you are leading projects where you are maybe sometimes leading conversations that you don't really communicate. And even, Ibrahim, with solving, some kind of solution, sometimes the solution is too much into your head. And you forget sometimes that, a person who is just standing in front of you is not in your head. And what happens there is that sometimes, you can have this kind of frustration, and then, you just lock yourself and, in between the four lines of a A4 paper. And you're not seeing the whole picture that, okay, maybe things has to be communicated another way so that people can understand. And sometimes, when looking at problems, like there will always, what drive a leader is that, yes, they're not only looking for solutions, but they're also looking for, change. They're looking for that, even if, sometimes, there's a very famous saying, say that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's a famous saying. But the thing with leadership is that sometimes things doesn't have to be broken. They can just be better. We don't have to wait, for things to be broken in order to fix it. And this is very, the complexity of leading, communicating. This is where, the frustration can start. So, sometimes it's just about only providing better solution because you see something in your head, but you need to communicate and make people understand that, hey, look, this is sustainable, this is design thinking, this is how we can thrive better. So I believe that this has always been something for me, though.
I guess sometimes it's pretty straightforward to communicate with people who agree with you, right? They applaud you, they agree with you, they have the same goal, the same ambitions, or perhaps they don't have enough knowledge. But how do you communicate and convince and sell an idea to, for instance, a climate denier?
I love this question because just yesterday, I was watching a very famous TED Talk of someone who lives in Australia. And he was very popular for his show called Kill All the Climate Deniers. And this is very fascinating because the conclusion that he came up with was something that I will totally agree with, that we are deniers somehow. Like each one of us can be a denier. And the thing is not only about being a climate denier, but we are also deniers of, of how we want to perceive and look into the future. And we will always be very, different there. And I will just say that how to convince a climate denier is that I never disagree with them. I personally don't disagree with them. because I know their frustration and I try to address it and address the frustration of how it is. It's also, it can be very frustrating for you as well because, we have seen a lot of climate activists getting the negative media review, like people look at climate activists as a problem right now. And I'm just saying that sometimes, Ibrahim, you need to make knowledge so um, easy, so relatable.
Okay, Anam, so you told me that uh, you don't disagree with them or you don't argue with them. Uh, but how do we convince people who disagree with us?
The thing is just that, why I don't argue Ibrahim or, it's not about that I'm not having a discussion. I'm having a discussion, but I'm trying just to understand their point of view. I can understand that, they're also frustrated and I can see that, people in itself is not always seeing an eye to eye with you. And you have to accept that. I don't get aggressive, but I try to find a middle ground. Sometimes it's okay that we can, not agree always on climate change, but you have to agree with me that you're not happy right now and something has to change. What has to change?
Mm,
And you get into these deep conversations.
mm,
Let's forget the climate just for a second. Let's get deep into it. And it's the same thing, with people. Sometimes, we can see people when they discriminate you or there can be racism. And that's a very hard conversation as well. But
mm,
we need to have these conversations,
mm,
even if we make ourselves a little bit uncomfortable. Because I'm not too comfortable with people like me as well. It's not that I'm looking for people, who is so optimistically, okay, let's get the change happen. It's very nice to meet you.
mm,
But sometimes we need to read people in order to make the big changes
mm,
because that is where, we can actually start innovating.
mm. So sometimes it's actually better to meet somebody and they resist your ideas, but then you can talk about it, than to deal with somebody, with a leader, with a colleague, with friends who tell you, "Oh, great," and then nothing happens.
Exactly.
So it's better to have that person who is resisting you, who's resisting your ideas, but engaging with you.
Absolutely. And I think engagement is very important. It also gives you the data, the information, also some kind of new ideas, And I'm not saying that it's always very good to be in a room with aggressive deniers all the time. But this is what I'm saying that, and I agree with this, back to this, Australian famous TED talker who was saying that kill all the climate deniers because at the end he also said that we are also deniers because if we also deny to meet an eye to eye with another person, then we're all deniers. So we need to actually come out of this our own comfort zone sometimes
Mm,
and try to see and seek for these different people.
mm,
And yeah,
mm. So we're not going to kill anybody.
no, we're not going to kill anybody, not today.
Anam, as a woman, a young, strong woman in spaces that often, are technical, political, and perhaps often male dominated, what challenge have you faced in being heard or taking up space?
This has been a very long journey, Ibrahim, like from where I started to where I am today. And I would lie if I say that everything has been very smooth. It has been very challenging to be heard. But, I have used uh, the skills or the knowledge or, the experience or whatever you like to call it in my advance, to be heard, because this has given me the evidence, the data that has been important to not only get into conversations, but also lead conversations. Because sometimes, it is like if you want to, for instance, create a project, let us say in Pakistan, where the geopolitical situation can change over the night, and then you're standing there alone but trying to make the changes, because they have the technology, or they have the not the technology, although, but they have the full scale of geographical background where they can thrive this kind of technology. Even now I'm speaking about green energy. So why would it take so long, to actually get it done? And then you come into some kind of, political instability. But I've been in this kind of environment for years, and I've seen, and this has been my experience, like things happen, things just take time, and you have to just, not only suck it up, but you have to be very patient around these uh, kind of areas, this kind of challenges as well. However, it shouldn't it shouldn't let it shape you. It should make you stronger. And this patience has made me more and more stronger, and more, believing in my cause. This is why it is needed to speak up, because it takes so much time. This is why I need to continue communicating or continue taking up the places, because I cannot see anybody else doing it as well. Because, it's easy to give up than to stay resilient.
It is.
And this is why, it has been so important, because at the end of it, when you are neglecting too much, you're also inviting far more reactions. I was going to say trouble, but it's not. But you're actually not only provocating, but you're actually boosting or inviting a conversation that you might were not thinking of having. So this is what has happened, of shaping and coming into this kind of forums, maybe, because of this patience, that has given me their not only the recognition, but the acknowledgement of this is needed, and now I need to do it.
Yeah. But have you felt that, you're not being taken seriously because of your background or your gender or perhaps your age?
I think, no, but when it comes to gender, yes, because it has been very male dominant area and sector and field. And I mean, I have examples of where I was the only woman uh, among 40 men. And these are middle-aged men that I'm working with. And
40. Did you say 40?
yes,
Wow.
I said 40, like 40.
Yeah.
And you're the only woman there. But, this has sometimes been, like, sometimes been like, how do you make yourself heard? Because now we have, again, a lot of male that are, they're in the room. And now you need to convince them, and you don't want to hear, okay, that's just a woman, speaking right now. Because people have this kind of stereotypical, um, presumptions of you. They can just judge you before you even speak. And that has happened. That has happened. But it has never stopped me. So, but I have been working with a lot of different, you know, uh, areas, field, and people, but um, where I could, whenever I enter the room, you can actually sense the energy. But then you really have to work against that.
What
So
kind
it
of
has been,
energy, Anam?
yeah.
What kind of energy?
Well, it can be the kind of energy that, when you walk into our room, you see the vibe just change. You see that people just can look at you, and then it's just like, oh, firstly, she's a woman of color. Secondly, she's a woman.
Mm.
So this whole thing, can be sometimes a thing that you register at the back of your head, but it is so much at the back of my head. But then I'm like, okay, now we need to, break the barrier, break the ice, and just go full in.
Mm.
So the knowledge and the experience and whatever I have in hand, I said that this is stronger than that kind of energy. So let's just start addressing it, and let's just pretend that this is just in my head.
Mm.
So yeah,
So you can feel the energy, but it's about keep going and
exactly.
not allowing it to hold you back.
Absolutely, because I don't see a reason of holding myself back.
Mm.
This has always been my problem, and I will tell you exactly why, Ibrahim. Because I've grown up with three brothers. I have grown up with male dominant in my house. So for me, like you don't tell me this again, So this is like since childhood, I have been grown up with guys and boys all the time. So, I had male cousins, just to put the dot over the I. And I have three brothers and, uncles, and this is the energy. So it's only, I see them as, okay, this could be my uncle, this could be my cousin or a brother. So I'm just like, okay, you know what, it's going to be okay.
Mm.
So I don't let them, yeah.
Yeah. And so, what advice do you have then to young girls and women who have an idea, who would like to, who have big dreams, who would like to create change, but they doubt themselves?
I think that, self-doubts, Ibrahim, and insecurities, they can always follow you regardless of your gender. So firstly, uh, when someone asks me about advices, it's just like listen to your cause more than these insecurities.
Mm.
What is making you insecure right now won't matter tomorrow. I
Mm.
have been insecure. Believe me, I'm insecure maybe every day. I can be in doubt every day. There are so many moments. But what keeps me going on is that I know that none of this would matter in amount of time.
Mm.
It's just here and now. And living, in your own ideas, in your dreams, this can be so beneficial. It can be so beneficial, to live within your true self. And it might sound, so cliche, but I didn't know about these things before actually, I have, I'm a LinkedIn influencer. I could say that by now, when I just reached like 20K followers. And what I'm getting every day is like some girl reaching out to me and asking me to be their mentor.
Mm.
And I'm just like, honestly speaking, a few years ago, I didn't even know what mentorship meant because I didn't have any mentor by myself. So, but I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And then I saw that there are so many girls out there who actually not only need mentor, they also need support, of it can be anything. Maybe, it is their career, it can be daily life thing. But listen to each other. They're just human at the end of the day. And people need people. And this is why I do what I'm doing right now, because I know that there is a society out there, who could need this kind of sustainable shift, that can need someone to just speak to. Sometimes we're just like, it takes a village, but not necessarily only for a baby, but it takes a village for every kind of human out there. Sometimes people just want to be heard
Mm.
and listened to. And I take out that time, even if it makes, me a little bit, okay, it's only 10 minutes of maybe I could, take a coffee by myself, but how about I take this with someone?
Mm.
So, making yourself a little bit tangible, feasible, it's so important. So for me, I never knew that I could mentor more than 15 girls each year, but I'm doing it. And it feels good because not only do they succeed in their, career, but they feel better about themselves. And it
Mm.
gives you like, okay, maybe it was worth it to take that coffee because I don't know where she would be. And, uh, being a little bit feasible for her, make her believe and give her hope that she can reach out to anybody out there who is maybe more credible than me in terms of her career path. So this is important, open up yourself.
Mm.
And even if there are things that you've never done before, maybe, maybe I should just try.
Mm. Listen to your cause, ignore your fears.
Absolutely.
Mm. Great, great. Uh, what do you wish someone had told you earlier about leadership, success, and belonging?
Oh, this one is a good one. I would say that leadership comes within. I mean, if you are a leader, you will know. So this is when the leadership advice could be that you will know who you are from very early on and listen to your inner self. That is very important. Secondly, about life uh, and everything else, the only advice could be that don't only think about what I can do, but what we can do. Listen to yourself, yes, but what can we do together? This is very important. And I wish that, someone from the future could take, this whole tour with me back in the past and just say that whatever you do, just try to believe in yourself, in your cause,
Mm.
and try to listen to that voice.
Mm.
And also, when you do that, then try to be there for others.
Mm.
So it's a very, low skill kind of a wish. But because, you're in, if you read the room right now, Ibrahim, we see that the problem with all this, fuss in the world right now, the geopolitical shift, the leaders that we are meeting every day, you know, it doesn't make you believe in the future. So this is the problem right now. But I'm just saying that even among all this kind of conversation that we're having in this world right now, it's
Mm.
so important to just, listen to yourself.
Mm. So, what I hear you say is listen to yourself, but work for a cause that is bigger than yourself.
Absolutely.
Mm. That's beautiful. Anam, I know our time is running out. I know you have to go soon. I have one question that I ask all of my guests. And the question is of all the advice you have, all the books you've read, all your experience, if you could give our listeners only one piece of advice for a better, more meaningful life, what would it be?
It's, I would say that it's live in the moment. It is so important, even though I'm a very futuristic person and always, try to have a very long-term vision um, of where I want to be. However, I would say that live in the moment. It is so important not only to create a sustainable path for your own life and well-being, but also a sustainable path for the future. Because sometimes we tend to move too fast for everything, and and this is very very easy to say but so difficult to do. It's to live in the moment. And this is again, back to what I was saying, that listen to yourself, because sometimes we tend to forget it. We tend to forget what we have. And everything that we worry for, everything that we work for, it can be gone in the moment. We never know. So appreciate what we have right now. The time that we have right now is the good time that we have right now. We never know about tomorrow.
Live in the moment. Anam, it was great having you here today. You are a fascinating young lady, and I'm looking forward to following you. And I'm confident that I'll see you again.
I'm so glad to hear that, Ibrahim, and it was so nice to be here as well. And good luck for your work. And for sure, we will be in contact.